For a long time, we were taught something simple. If you work hard, learn useful skills, and do your job well, things will eventually work out. That belief didn't appear by accident. For decades, in relatively stable economies, effort was visible. Managers could see it. Institutions could reward it. Career paths were slower, but they were understandable. Effort felt like protection, like stability, like a form of security. But today, across the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, and Europe, millions of people are doing everything right and still falling behind. Not because they failed, not because they're lazy, not because they lack education or intelligence. Something else changed, quietly, systemically, without a warning. Here's how that change shows up in real life. People aren't suddenly losing their jobs. Instead, they receive fewer replies, fewer interview invitations, fewer meaningful opportunities. Careers don't collapse anymore. They stall. You don't hit a wall. You slow down. And what makes this especially confusing is that nothing looks broken on the surface. Companies are still hiring. Offices are still active. Job platforms are still full. From the outside, the system looks healthy. But inside the system, movement becomes harder to feel. Progress becomes slower, less predictable, and much harder to explain. That uncertainty creates quiet stress. This isn't just competition, and it isn't just burnout. What's happening is structural. Over the last decade, decision-making has gradually shifted, not everywhere at once, but enough to change outcomes. Many decisions about hiring, promotion, visibility, and opportunity are no longer made directly by people. They are mediated by systems, automated screening tools, ranking algorithms, recommendation engines, scoring models. These systems exist to manage scale. They are designed for speed, consistency, and efficiency. They are not designed to recognize nuance, context, or long-term potential. A human decision-maker can notice things like judgment, growth over time, and subtle improvement. A system cannot. A system only sees what can be measured: signals, patterns, comparisons. Anything that cannot be translated into a signal is difficult for a system to act on. When systems dominate decision flow, value that is not encoded becomes harder to detect. This doesn't mean people lose value. It means value becomes harder to see. That distinction matters. This is why rejection feels different now. You don't receive a clear no. You receive silence. Your resume isn't rejected. It is filtered. Your application isn't denied. It is never surfaced. Your work isn't criticized. It simply doesn't appear. And silence is psychologically heavy. Without feedback, you don't know what to adjust. So most people default to effort. They apply more. They learn more. So most people default to effort. They apply more. They learn more. They work harder. But effort applied in the same position does not change how a system categorizes you. Often it reinforces it. For most of modern history, effort scaled. More effort produced more output. More output produced more opportunity. That loop shaped education, career advice, and identity. But systems do not scale effort. They scale patterns. Patterns reward predictability. Predictable behavior is easy for systems to optimize around. That is why being reliable used to feel safe and now often feels limiting. Not because reliability is bad, but because predictability is easy to manage without promotion. Highly skilled and educated people often feel this shift first because knowledge is no longer scarce. Information is widely available. Tools are cheaper. Execution barriers are lower. Skills that once differentiated people are becoming more common. This does not make skills useless. It changes their role. Skills become entry conditions, not advantages. When that happens, position begins to matter more than capability. This is where visibility becomes economic. Search engines decide what gets seen. Feeds decide what spreads. Platforms decide what grows. Discovery itself becomes a filter. When discovery is automated, being good is no longer enough. You must be readable, comparable, positioned within the right flow. This is not about manipulation. It is about how modern systems allocate attention. So what actually works now? Not blind effort, not endless credentials. What works is understanding where decisions are made and how signals reach them. Progress comes from changing where your effort lands, from being closer to decision loops, closer to visibility points, closer to evaluation moments. This does not mean everyone needs power. It means fewer people can afford to remain invisible. The people who adapt are not always smarter. They are more aware of how the system actually decides. This channel is not here to scare you, and it is not here to sell shortcuts. It exists to help you understand how modern systems evaluate value, how relevance is calculated, and why outcomes change even when effort stays the same. Because once a system decides your place, it does not explain itself. It does not argue. It simply moves on. If you are looking for comfort, this is probably not the right place. But if you want clarity before the future quietly decides for you, welcome to Neo Human Intelligence.